So, today is Sunday. The gig was Thursday. It was a good gig. The gig was for an infomercial. I was hired for lighting and audio, and of course my gear, grip gear as well. The guy who hired me is a New York director. He's been doing it for a long time. Some very high-profile clients. He's been around. He knows what he's doing. I was curious. I asked him how he found me, and he told me he just Googled, and he found me, and I had some good reviews. But later I tried to Google myself, and I didn't find myself. I mean, if I put my name in, yeah, but if I'm looking for like a gaffer in this area, I didn't find myself. So I'm just taking the blessing that he found me. It was cool. Very cool working with him. He and his director of photography, Jeff, had been working together for probably 20 years, they said. They knew what they were doing. They knew each other. They worked together well. They communicated well. It was awesome. I hired Kelly to come out. She's always awesome. And that's one thing. If you find someone especially someone young like her, that's smart and has work ethic and just, desires to learn, and she's always thinking ahead. Look, like, what should we do next? What's going to happen next? What can I do to make this better? You can't find people like her. So I mean, plus I really like her. I have a good time messing with her. She's like a daughter. And I mean, she's my daughter's age. Anyway, it's awesome though. I have a really good relationship with her. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I do mess with her a little bit. It's fun. She messes back. All right, back to the gig. So I get there early. It's a rented house in Bluebell, which is a high finance area, let's say, and it was on a country club, and a very prestigious country club at that. It turns out they rented the house. I didn't know that was a thing. Well, I mean, I didn't know that's what was happening. Beautiful house. They had 3 locations in the house that we were going to shoot, and then outside. I get there. Well, I mean, I was there waiting. Chris and Jeff got there. They pulled in the driveway, so then I backed into the driveway because everybody else was supposed to park on the street because, I was allowed because gear. So Kelly got there before the last person got there. She was a little late. It wasn't bad. Not bad at all. But I always give her a hard time. Next gig I hire her for, I told her if she beats me to the site, I'm giving her an extra $100 for the day. Knowing me, I might just, wait around the corner and make it look like she beat me. But anyway, just because I really appreciate her. So yeah, we moved the couch out the way. The first room, it was really cool. It was like the bourbon room, actually. There was one heck of a collection of bourbon. So we moved it out of the way to make it look like an office. Chris had brought in a table that he'd put together. Jeff was telling me how we were going to light it. And as it turns out, like very flat lighting, not much contrast at all. So, okay, that makes it easy. But, being that I'm new to working with them, I wanted to be prepared for his idea of not much contrast being different than my idea of not much contrast, just in case. I mean, that's why they have contrast ratios, so you can say I want 1 to 2 or whatever, then I know exactly. But anyway, so I had Kelly setting up a couple lights. We set up a big frame, boomed it out over the stairs. Then they flipped the scene a little bit, but I had already had Kelly put up a light inside the room, just in case they decided to do something like, flip the room. And so that came in clutch. That scene was largely on his gimbal, because we were doing audio, and it was the two of us. Like, I figured at some point I'd be, boom op, so that I could, also run around and do any lighting tweaks or lighting Hollywood, frames or flags or whatever, specials or whatever. But we put, the boom pole on a CStrand, because there's really only two of us. Kelly was on audio. We shot that. It went pretty well. At one point, he did need a special, because he was like under the table. The product was like a brace that goes on your knee. And so he was getting a product shot under the table and needed a little special. So I just grabbed one of my, like 40 watt suit photo handheld jobbies. And I was telling my wife about the day. It was kind of like the saying for the day from like Jeff and Chris here and there was, "Oh, cool." Because so I get down there with the handheld, and I had it on like 2 or 3% or something. He's like, "I need a little more than that." I'm like, yeah, no problem. I said, "It's only at 2%. He's like, "What?" "Oh." So I, give him what he needs. I handhold it. It looks great. We do that. Took a good number of takes. Oh, the cool thing was that the actor for that first scene there was, I'm running around getting stuff set up, getting the gear ready, and whatever. And I hear Kevin. I'm like, "Hey!" It was Marco, who's the lead in the gig Maggie, the vertical drama. It's not necessarily a vertical, but it's probably going to be a vertical. Whatever. I don't even know what the name is at the moment. I can't remember. But anyway, he was like, just 2 weeks ago I had worked with him on that other gig, and that was really cool. So that was cool. So anyway, we finished that first part, and then and before we even started, Jeff says, "Okay, here's the next scene that we're gonna do." So he's like, "I think all we have to do is like grab that frame once we're done, and just bring it over here and pop a light into it, and that should be good enough." And I'm like, I have another idea. How about this? And I got my my handheld 300 watt Siriu bicolor light, put it on the V mounts, and grabbed another, like a smaller diffusion flag that I would normally put in a C-stand or whatever. But I said, "How about I just Hollywood it?" I said, "This is supposed to be pretty quick, right?" And he's like, "Well, let me see." So I hit it, and he's like, "Oh, okay, that's cool. That works. Oh, okay, cool." So that was faster than taking down the frame and moving a light over and stuff. But it was kind of funny because once we finished that first scene, I guess Chris is used to, okay, now we need at least 25, 30 minutes or whatever to set up for the next one. And he's like thinking ahead, and he decided, let's shoot the outside stuff. Let's shoot the outside stuff because it's in the shade and we don't need any lighting. So, okay, cool. That left me to, actually, I was already ready. Because I knew what was coming ahead and I had already had it ready. But at that point, I was like getting Kelly ready to get to the next one, which was in the kitchen, which was right next to where we were. So we couldn't do too much because we had to keep, like, I wasn't sure what the frame was entirely. So we had to keep stuff out of the way. But we were Also starting to break stuff down and get it out of there that we knew we weren't going to need. So, you know, and again, Kelly started that on her own. I love it, you know, because I'm still running around thinking about what we're doing now, and she's like, well, I don't have anything to do. Let me see. Oh, we're not going to use this. Let's take it out. You can't find people like this. So Chris finally comes, well, actually at one point they needed a special for outside. And we're like, we need a special. I came out and I Hollywooded the little light for him again for a couple of minutes, and then they were done with that. And Chris is running around like, okay, hey, how much more time? I'm like, oh, I've been ready. He's like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, well, I don't see any lights. And I told him, Jeff and I had talked about it, and he's okay with, you know, me doing this. And I showed him. He was like, oh, okay, cool. That looks great. And it's fast. I like it. So we shot that scene. Then that was it for that one Marco, that actor. And then there was an actress in the kitchen, and we set up for that. It was almost ready, actually, but I wasn't entirely sure of the frame again because I was trying to do it ahead. Bella, what are you doing? What are you doing? You took her clothes off. No, you're naked. You're naked, girl. This is my nice yard here because I had to have my sewer done. Anyway, so let's see what happened. Goes back on? Okay, you don't. We'll get them on in a minute, okay? Anyway, so kitchen. Had it mostly set up, just needed to, you know, dial in and move things back just a little bit so it wasn't in the frame. It wasn't quite enough light at first, so I had to adjust the light a little bit, and that wasn't Kelly's fault. That was just because there was she was kind of stuck in a small area, and there was like what's the word I'm looking for? It was blocking. We were trying to bounce it into the ceiling, and it was blocking, so we couldn't get. And we were using, that one was the 400, my new aperture 400X. Should have used a 500. Still, I'm pretty sure they're still a little brighter than the 400. But in any case, all we had to do was really just, you know, move it up so that it could, you know, was closer to the ceiling, and boom it out just a touch. Couldn't boom it out too much because it would have been in the frame, but it worked out pretty well. Again, some specials here and there. At some point, the PA is like, "Hey, I need your food order," but I was like, that was the last thing on my mind because I was trying to make sure everything was going well, and it did. It went really well. It was Jeff was cool to work with. He kept saying, "Hey, Kev, I see what you're doing. I like it. Keep doing it. Good job." He was really cool to work with. One of the things I had forgotten to mention was that since this was a decent job, decent paying job, in one of my previous jobs, I had seen the need for an IP rated light. Well, I bought a couple more things. Yes, I have gas and gear acquisition syndrome. Anyway, so I bought the Aperture 400X, which is IP rated, and it's the Blair engine, so it's kind of full color, not 100%, but pretty close. For, you know, like music video purposes or whatever, it's perfect. It's perfectly fine. But anyway, and I bought a second time code unit. So in the production meeting, they were asking if I had a monitor, and I was like, well, I do, but it's attached to my director's cart. I'm like, I can take it off and we can put it on a C-stand or something. But they're like, no, don't worry about it. No, don't worry about it. I'm like, well, I mean, I have a couple of small ones, like, and I was thinking originally I was thinking my Atomos Ninja 5, and then I have a Feel World 7-inch monitor, but I forgot that on a film shoot a while back, it had fallen over. It was on a stand, fallen over and cracked the glass. Still works, just glass is shattered, so not safe. I don't know, I'll probably fix it, maybe not, I don't know, whatever. But I also have another 5-inch Feel World monitor as well, so and then I have these Shinobi or whatever they are transmitters, cheap transmitters for like $90, and obviously you're not pulling focus from it, but whatever, it was fine. But so I get off the call and I realize, oh yeah, I forgot my 7-inch is broken, and I took a look at what I had in my B&H list, and I'm like, ooh yeah, the Hollyland Pyro kit. I didn't actually realize it came as a kit with 2 monitors. I knew that the monitor was also a transmitter and could act as a receiver as well. So I'm like, that's what I was looking for. And then I noticed the kit that has the 5-inch and the 7-inch, and I'm like, ooh, and it was about $1,000. I'm like, ooh, so I pulled the trigger. And yeah, here's the 5-inch. I love this thing. This is, like when I got here, I didn't even know it had, the kit came with like the handles and a lanyard and all that stuff. I didn't realize that was included in the kit. But it is, and it was awesome. It worked perfectly. The only complaint I have is when you turn it on, it takes about 20 to 30 seconds or so to kind of come on. And every time you disconnect the video signal from the transmitter, the receiver does another 20-second before, like, once you reconnect the video signal, it takes another roughly 20 seconds. A little annoying, but acceptable. But I love the kit. I mean, look at this thing. It came in this, that's it. It's tiny. I'll get some B-roll. It's tiny, but great case, waterproof case. It's got sunshades. It's screen protectors. It's pretty. Like, I didn't really need anything else. I already have NPF batteries. I am gonna switch out the the 7-inch has an accessory where you can switch out from the NPF batteries to a V-mount, so I'm going to get that. But I mean, other than that, I'll probably get a cage for it, so that a director doesn't drop it or just bang it or whatever. Probably get a cage for the 5-inch too, just in case, just to protect it. I don't think I'll be needing to mount anything on it, but I don't know. Anyway, so that was cool, and Chris appreciated that. Jeff had the 5-inch on his the gimbal, which acted as the transmitter. He wasn't really using it for anything but the transmitter, so I would like to get a transmitter receiver kit, just for that purpose, to lower the weight on gimbals, just for whatever. But no hurry. Anyway, yeah, and Chris and the client was able to sit there and watch and do his directing, And again, once again, he knew what he liked. He knew what he was looking for. He was able to talk and get it out of the talent pretty well. And there's a couple of times he's trying to get a specific phrase, and he told them this specific phrase, but they didn't say the specific phrase after like 4 or 5 takes, and you couldn't even tell. I'm sure he was probably getting annoyed, but you couldn't tell. So he held it, poker face. Yeah, so they finished shooting the outside stuff, which was basically, for this infomercial, it was basically a stick mic and a woman interviewing a guy about, his back pain and how this thing helps and yada yada. So once they got done that, Chris came back in. He's like, all right, let's get set up for the other thing. I think he was kind of like shocked that I wasn't set up because I wasn't out there, except I was set up. He just was expecting to see the frame over there and the light and stuff. So he's like, how much time? And I said, oh, we're ready now. I said, oh, okay. I don't see any lights. So I explained to him that Jeff and I had worked it out, that I was going to use my hand. I was just going to Hollywood it. So it was nice and quick. And I showed him, and he's like, oh, okay, that's nice. Good lighting. Okay, cool. So we shot that, and, it took a little bit. I think there was a clothing change there for the actor. So Kelly was finishing up, getting ready for the next scene, which was right next to us. So we kind of had to keep stuff out of the view, so we couldn't pre-light it. We just put stuff in place and where we were planning on putting things, and we'd dial it in once we had the frame. Anyway, do the shoot. The next scene is a different actress at this point. So, and we were ready within, 10 minutes, probably less. For dialing it in, we did need to boost the one light wasn't giving enough light for Jeff, so there was like a little overhang, so we were basically shooting it the 400X into the ceiling. In retrospect, I had the 720 on the other side, but we could have used a 500. Anyway, whatever. Bottom line, it was just set up on top of the CStrand, which, and I didn't bring any of my Gary Coleman's, the 20-inch. I didn't bring any of those guys. So I just basically put it down at the bottom of the boom so that we could, get it out a little bit and up closer to the ceiling, so to raise the intensity up a little more. I also had the Fresnel that I could have used, which would have given it probably plenty more. But doing my little trick worked. Everybody was happy with it. It looked pretty good. And once again, this is flat lighting. I mean, it's infomercial. It's high key stuff. But in the background of this house, like I was looking around, like when they were shooting outside, I'm like, what can I do with the background to make it, light dark and stuff, like cinematic. The house already had some like accent lights and stuff like that, and they were on and they were beautiful looking, and so it was still a little bit of a light dark. So there's nothing really else to do. It was just nice. It was beautiful. Anyway, so we shoot that, and as they're still shooting it, Kelly does what she does, and she looks around and says, okay, this is the last seen at this location, so she started taking stuff out. And PA, after she finally got my lunch order, because I guess she forgot to send me the menu, but I looked it up, and, whatever. After she got my lunch menu, she's like, "Hey, can we start taking stuff out?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like that." Oh, okay, you're on it. That was mostly Kelly, but and of course I joined in taking stuff out, but loadout from the house was pretty quick, thanks to Kelly primarily. Like I said, she got everything out to the car, out to the truck, and I didn't have my trailer again, so it was kind of loaded into the pickup, the pickup bed, however I could, and because I'm me, I brought way too much, and so fitting it in was a challenge. I mean, not that, I'm pretty good at that, Tetris. Anyway, loadout. So Chris calls us over at one. Oh, while we're loading out, they were shooting some stuff with the dog, and now this is at noon, right? This is funny. I talked to Jeff. I'm like, just confirm with him. Hey, Jeff, just confirming this is the last thing we're shooting in the house. Then you have the dog stuff, and that's out on the street, right? And he said, yeah. And I said, well, here's the thing, right? What do you want me to do? It's noon. There's hardly any clouds. The sun's right up there. So how, do you want me to try and get you some diffusion? He's like, no, don't worry about it. And they just planned for shade under trees and this and that. And honestly, let's not forget, hard light is a thing. So anyway, they shot, they had a dog trainer, and Obi-Wan, I think was the dog's name. Obi-Wan, yeah, I think it was just Obi-Wan was the dog's name, like a retriever. So they shot some B-roll with the two actors, the one actor and the actress, while we were getting all done. When they got that done, they called us over and were like, okay, so here's the deal. The next location is the doctor's office. We can't get in there until 3, but we can go take a load of gear in and then go to lunch. And so Chris, myself, Kelly, and Jeff, the DP, went over. We brought up what we thought we were going to sight unseen to the location. I mean, Chris had seen it. We brought up a load of gear, what we thought we were going to need. Took a quick conversation about the, what was going to happen, so that we knew, later for the next trip up. And then we went down and had lunch, and it was cool. I sat with Chris and Jeff, and it was cool. They because they've been working together for 20 years, they had some conversations that I was like, but they Jeff especially included me, and I kind of jumped in there when I could and asked some questions, and whatever. It was cool. And then we go back to the doctor's office after lunch, and we bring up some more stuff. And again, I brought up too much, but whatever. I think Jeff was starting to get stressed about time. Maybe not yet at that point, but I did notice him watching his looking at his watch all the time. And he also had started to set up my lights instead of waiting for me to do it. And it was kind of a strange situation, because it was like all windows on one side, and the sun was on that side. So I was like, okay, how do you want it diffuse a little more, or I wasn't entirely sure what he wanted, but he and I, we talked it out, and put the one light up, and said that's gonna do it. He used my 400 instead of the 720. I would have grabbed the 720 because I knew we needed the firepower against the sun. But he thought that was for some reason he thought that the 400 was my brightest light. But whatever. We made it work. I set up some other stuff. I was able to put a hair light, just one of my like suit photos here with the magnet. Actually, it wasn't this one. It was one of these guys. These guys are great. 40 watts. Very, very bright for what they are. Obviously, the battery doesn't last tremendously long if you have it at 40%. There is a fan in it, so it's a little noisy. You can hear it, but I put a light up, and then as we're about to shoot, we see there was like a thing in the background that was reflecting the windows, and it was kind of annoying. So we figured out where it was coming from, and I started the Hollywood a flag to kill the reflection. And then I think Kelly or someone brought me over a CStrand so that I didn't have to hold it for the whole time. And of course the sun moved like it does. Well, the earth moved, and therefore the sun seemed to move. We started getting to a point where the reflection started to creep back, and I was able to eventually adjust it between takes. But the doctor, and this is where the director, had a hard time getting the actor, which was not an actor, he was a doctor, acting, but he's a real doctor, chiropractor and stuff, but trying to get him to say specific phrase, audio bite, and he wasn't saying it, and you could tell it was because it didn't feel right to him, so he was changing the wording so it felt better, but it was still awkward, and it wasn't what Chris wanted, and that took quite a while, and that pushed us late. But the reason we had to be out of there at 6 or whenever it was because the doctor had to go to his kid's lacrosse game. So the doctor made us late. The doctor made himself late to the lacrosse game. Although I think we came very close to getting him out of there on time. So, and again, thanks to Kelly, she realized we're kind of winding down, so she started taking things downstairs. It was kind of a challenge because, it was an office complex, and we didn't want to just leave stuff lying around outside that could walk away. But she did a great job getting stuff down. And at that point, we were using my camera, my Sony A7S III, as the second camera for they did the interview thing with the doctor at this point again. And so we did 2 cameras for that, just to make it go quick. But I had to stand by the camera, so I wasn't really able to, help with striking and putting stuff away. But anyway, that was, and also another thing, I mentioned, how the reflection was coming up. There was a lot going on, a lot of talk going on, kind of deciding things and stuff, and I couldn't tell if I was blocking the, when I'm trying to set up the flag to block the reflection, I couldn't tell for sure. And so I was able to just use my phone to connect to the monitor and see for myself. So, and then we still had one other person that could have done the same thing. But that was fantastic, awesome. And the cool thing is, even on the phone, you still have your false colors. You still have like all the tools. You know, even focus peaking is still on the phone. So that was cool. What wasn't cool was that they were giving out the free products, and this product was for the main product that we covered. We covered a couple, but the main product we covered, the knee brace thing, was for sciatic pain. It puts like pressure on the peroneal nerve, so that kind of tricks your brain into forgetting about the sciatic pain. But anyway, I didn't get a product because I think he only had a couple of those, and he gave them to the actors, I think. But he had some other products, like they had socks. They had specialized socks with compression socks that weren't just regular socks, specially designed to put pressure in special parts. There was a couple of inserts for shoes. There was shoes that looked like sneakers merged with Crocs. But most of the products that he had were female, so nothing really fit me, so I didn't get any. But I'll just go buy one because it's pretty cheap, actually. It's like $40 or something. It's like less than a copay. But anyway, so yeah, that was cool. We were able to load out pretty quickly. Some of the PAs helped bring a couple of items down. Got the truck loaded. Then in the parking lot, they, I gave them my card for my camera. They copied the footage, and cool, they left me the footage, so I have little snippets. I'm not gonna do much with it, but I have some of the footage, so just for my camera, obviously. But oh yeah, I don't know if I talked about the time code. At one point we talked about time code. I wasn't sure if they wanted to do the time code because I have the two Deity TC1s. I also have the my Saramonic Ultra. That's two wireless mics recorders, 32-bit, and they have time code. The two of them are synced automatically, and you can use that to sync the Tascam, and then you can use that to sync the Deities. And he was shooting on an FX3, so we could have used that to, we could have used time code all the way around. But it's not clunky. Just in all honesty, I played with it here at home before the gig, and I got it working. But it still would have been a little slower than it should have been, probably. Anyway, they weren't too worried about it. Like, they didn't use, I don't understand why a lot of people use these. I can get it for a full feature, but for something short or like an infomercial or something like that, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, and we didn't use one for this because it didn't make sense. So that was cool. But anyway, the time code, Chris wasn't worried about it. Adobe Premiere syncs up, and apparently that's what I know what Jeff edits with. I don't know if Chris is editing or if he has an editor, but Adobe Premiere, and also I know DaVinci does the same thing very well. It syncs the audio via audio very well, so it's not like a problem. What else? So I don't know, we got done, we got the footage, and I took Kelly to dinner because I was starving, and she was hungry too, and she was already going to miss her baby's, not baby, but 2.5-year-old's bedtime. So we went, grabbed some dinner. I had a steak, and talked and had a good time and said goodbye, and I went home. It was a really good night. So anyway, I think I covered everything.